just pay attention. Bro,
All
right, we'll talk about that later. Ready?
Deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. Oh yeah, we are live. And what is up, everyone? It is Saturday night. You know what that means. Some of the greatest night in radio happens on Saturday night on TFR. Shout outs to Ra that was just on. Stay tuned. Beyond the Veil's up next. Then we have Paranormal Portal. Then Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean. Shout outs to Chris and Sergio. We love you guys. Depressed from that and de-stress from those moments of activation in the 13th level. And bring it down and anchor it in. We love you guys so much. And thank you so much because we would not be here doing this without you. Love you guys so much. And shout outs to everybody in the chat room tonight. And shout outs to the Fearless family. My name is Frank Castle, and I'm your Sorcerer Supreme right here every Saturday night. And this is Fearless. And I got a special guest with me tonight. And I've been wanting to get him on the show for a while. I don't recall. I know you did the podcast, but I don't think you did the show. Have you?
No, I have not.
Everybody welcome Shaman Jimmy to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. It's great to have you on the show, man.
Thank you.
How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. This month has been, wow.
Powerful lion upgrades.
Yes, an overflow of upgrades after upgrades after upgrades, realizations. A lot of things has been happening on my end, which I'm very grateful for. And, taking it all in one day at a time, learning more about my true self, knowing that I have all the support I need here physically and on the other side, which gives me lots of confidence, in what we're doing.
The epic adventure is no longer the epic struggle.
Exactly. Now is I'm getting to use everything that I've known, for better term of words. And I guess we can elaborate on that later. But how are you?
I'm doing, well, wildly interesting, just as yourself. And, we talk all the time. So it's moment after moment after moment with us, and as well as many, many others. So it's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly what we said is happening, and what everyone else was kind of alluding to, that there's a shift, there's something occurring that's changing. But I'm peeling layers. Like, I got a really bad sunburn, skin blistered up, and just fell off. Old layers are just going away. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, one of the things that happened to me during a meditation this week. And sometimes the meditations they turn into DMT moments, right? So you're like, okay, I'm just going to go with this. But
everyone's always thinking, you're a light warrior. Yeah, I'm of the light. I love you. I love you too. Yeah, that's great. That's great. But they forget, what's a warrior do?
Put the work in. Like,
yeah. We're warriors. You get down and dirty sometimes. A lot of times, actually.
Absolutely.
I had moment after moment
actually,
today.
Yeah.
I had moment after moment today where people in my family, it's like the tests, right? Like I've been prepared. I've passed them on the other in here. And then I start talking. And the minute I start talking, it's like, oh, here we go again. The nuts in the house. And I'm like, Except there's a weird thing that's occurring. And I know you talk about your family to me a bunch, and it's awesome about how the change occurs, right? Like people start coming to the table like, I want in, or I want to be part of this because I'm looking to heal or whatever. So I have a handful of people around me in the house that have done it, including my mother, right? And then now I have an uncle who's he's somebody you would not expect. He's someone you'd see on a YouTube video, perhaps taking out some aggression a little too far, right? So he's like, I'm coming to see you 5 years. And my brother's like, yeah, right. He's like, my job, drug tests. And I'm like, yeah, it's not drugs like that, dummy, right? I'm like, this is about you. I go, do you meditate? This has nothing to do with ayahuasca. I go, do you meditate? He goes, no. I go, okay, so we can't even.
We can't even level with that. Yeah.
We'll just stick to comic books, which is fine. But it's troubling because now at this heightened point of awareness and we're stripping these layers down, the people that are screaming louder.
Yes.
Right? So it's like a cry for help. That's how I see it. If you're sitting at a dinner table saying all the negative, and then it's almost like, well, what do I do? And then you throw out a few ideas and they all get shot down. Whoever says it, it comes in from everyone. So you realize they just want an ear, but then they never really do anything to take that next step. And it doesn't have to be like DMT, ayahuasca, mushrooms. It just needs to be a step on the path in the right direction.
Correct.
At the base level, it's Tony Robbins. You know that, right? It's Richard Simmons. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
I love you.
Oh, man.
I always say, don't worry about the beings. The beings come later. Your family is there waiting. Trust me on that. Your ancestors are there waiting. But it's what do you, all right, you do a lot of ceremony. So are people, when the beings come and step in, do they have like that moment of, wow, what is this?
Oh, yeah. A lot of the times, I kind of like, I don't like to say I ruin it. It's more of like an awareness. Like, look, there's a chance that this may or may not happen. Understand that these are aspects of you. Okay, they're here to unlock those aspects of you. They're going to help you only if you allow it. So it's no sense of freaking out. Oh my God, why is this elephant dancing around me? Or why is this 6-armed man, just staring at me? Or Anubis, for that matter, just there and not saying anything. And because a lot of, as much as they led us to believe that they're mythological beings, they're far from that, but once they have that experience and they understand, and it's overwhelming. I mean, the emotions, the joy, the laughter. I mean, there's so many things that go on at one moment that is kind of sometimes too much to process. I've had clients that, I've learned that you can ask to tone it down because it's too much of a good thing that you don't know how to handle it.
Absolutely. I remember one of the time when I met Ra for the first time, right? Like the being that would come forth as the entire whole of the conglomerate. Wow, they're setting off bombs outside my house tonight. Wow. Do you hear that?
I can't hear it.
Oh, it sounds like grenades are going off on my lawn. All right, so yeah, they're throwing mats and everything. I'm like, wow, that's pretty weird. Welcome to the Bronx. But I had to be sedated under the Aya experience to even do that. And then during that experience, almost had a heart attack because it was just too much. And he stepped back, or the being Ra stepped back and said, no, I'll wait here until you can kind of handle it. And then you could move forward towards me. I'm not going to, because if there's any fright on that level, they'll stop.
Correct.
And that's always interesting too, because everyone's always worried about the beings. I'm always like, you don't worry about them. They're going to come.
It's funny that you say that, because I hear a lot of people, and I talk to some Christians, and I ask them, I say, you love Jesus, that this. Okay, so what would you do if he stepped in here right now? And then they stop, and they're like, they can't process that. They don't understand that. It's like, what do you mean? I was like, okay, let's say he stepped in right now. What would you do? And they have that look like they really don't know how to answer it. And I was like, well, you need to, as you can see, this is one of the reasons why sometimes they don't appear to you, because, like you said, they don't want to frighten you, because it's not good for you.
Right. Yeah. If any fright just adds fear to that.
Yes.
Even a column of fear and a column of fearlessness, that would go into the fear column, and they can't have that. That's like a no-no. It's a big part of their, like, we won't come if we're going to have that happen.
No, it's funny that you say that, because that's one of the conversations I had today with Hanuman. I was asking him about my cat that passed away. And he's like, look, he's going to be around. He's just not around you now because he knows how you're going to react when he's there. You miss him, and you're going to want him there, and he knows you're going to be sad. So he doesn't want to see you sad, because that's not the energy that he wants to get from you. But when you're ready and got over that, he'll be around again. And I was like, oh, I said, that's pretty cool. Because, we just got his ashes recently, and I was like, man, I can't. Every time I look at him, it's like I need to sit down and try to, not necessarily block it out, just, clear it.
Acceptance of it is rough, man. I sit with Squeak's urn. It's right next to me all day, all night. Like all day, all night. It's right here. And I used to stare at it and just pour tears. But now I'm like, yo, my boy. They're on the other side. So, all right, so some of the animals are us, pieces of us. Some of them are individual beings. They're just their own thing, right? But soul family nonetheless.
Correct.
When my cat passed and I was ready, I even told you about this. I saw him inside of I was trapped in a box, like the box they call the trap. And then a few feet in front of me, as things were, like the hallways were getting longer and then shorter, and then there were stairs going up that went in and sideways and upside down. I was like, yo, this is getting crazy. Like a few feet in front of me, the cat appeared. And it was the first time I was seeing him. And I'm like, what? And then the top of the box opened. When he got my attention, he's like, yo, listen, you've been in here for a long time. And I'm like, what? Squeak? And boom, the box opened, and he was standing with me and Paula, but he was like a man cat, a cat man.
Okay.
But he was young. He was young, though. He was short. He was only like 4 feet tall. And he was like the great Kadu. That's what I used to call, and that means the greatest mantra. That's what I used to scream at him, the great Kadu. So there's reasons why. When you see them sad, when they see you sad, it pushes that sometimes. And they're like, nah, I'm not going to let you be like that. Which is why they don't let dead ones visit people.
Correct.
Until they're kind of chill.
Yeah, until they're like over it, or like you said, the acceptance part of it.
Yeah, which is very, very difficult. So, but that was the only way to get me over that. To show me him.
What helped me a little bit, like the days after, was that I saw my son chasing him on a ship.
Oh, that's
like
dope.
every night, I see the cat, then I see my son chasing him. And I'm like, okay, then I got an understanding that he's okay, and it was comforting. Then there's times that during meditation that he's running around my feet. I see him, and then I see my son, running around, skipping and dancing. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. And today I had the chance, like I said, to ask about that, and come to find out he's been with me many lives. We just happened to come together again through Melissa. You know,
Yep.
so it was a good moment.
I love it when I get to see the connectivities like that, right? Like how the connections roll and how they're right there and how we'll be back and we're never far and like I always say that nobody's anywhere except right in front of you because none of, the projection is what it is. When you're sitting in the Taurus, you're just sitting there, right? So you can go and find your people. They're just not here in this round, kind of, but they could come back within that round as long as you're there. And we're in for something interesting in our lifetime that hasn't been experienced. So I have this strange feeling we'll be seeing everyone, and some of us won't be going anywhere. So it'll be quite the beautiful adventure. I don't really like to push any more than that anymore. When I speak of the event, right? We both know this too. All right, so there's energy, and there will be flashes of light, and the sun will do its thing, and there's timed things according to events. But the actual event is you.
Yes.
So an event will happen, right? But if you don't do the work leading up to that, which is personal events daily, right? That's what winds up happening to you every time you go under or you do a meditation or you connect.
It is.
Little mini events, right?
I see it since March till now, between meditations, going under, doing the work, is one step closer, because your vibration's higher. You clear things from past lives. Man, I think, let me see, April and May was probably the roughest for me, because a lot of injuries from past lives were coming to surface. My wrist from a time I was crucified in the conquistador times, my feet, remember I couldn't walk March. All these things coming to light. And for those who don't know, it can get frustrating because you go see a doctor and they tell you you're fine according to your,
Oh, guess who just spoke about this in full detail yesterday? Chris Gio.
Oh, really?
Goes to the doctor. Man, you got to look at me up and down. He goes, they run every test, and they're like, dude, you're perfectly healthy. And he's like, nah, B, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And, but yeah, but as you keep removing, you keep growing and expanding and expanding and expanding, and you get closer. You know what I mean? And like you said, for me now I do a meditation is like a DMT trip.
Yeah.
I don't, it's not 100% clarity, but it's very close.
Man, it's as close as you're going to get until you connect full time. It goes, all right, Jimmy, I've been telling everybody that we have like the scale that we work on. It goes from like 15 to 20% visual when your eyes are closed to like, it'll jump to like 65. And you're like, whoa, what is that? And then you focus in, and then like a hand will come out of the background and hand you something. And you'll go, is that real? And they'll go, yes, it is. And you'll go, whoa. And then boom, it's gone. And it goes back down to like 30%. Yep. And then, but you're still hearing everything. You're getting, like, you're absorbing the information somehow. You don't need to visually see it every time. Paula was screaming the other night, you just walked through the house. I go, no, I just kicked something out of the living room. So I ran into the bedroom. And I said, did you see it? She goes, dude, it walked by me. I didn't see it till it was in the back. So I closed my eyes. I'm looking at her. And something occurred where I connected to her energy. I saw exactly what she saw, then saw it in the corner, like through her. Like I don't even have to look through me. I can look through her. But these are all things that we can do. Like, all right, like, so with telepathy, you don't have to explain all this stuff, right? So if she was trying to say, there's a shadow, it moved across the room, it's in the corner, it went out the side, right? That takes a long time to say while I kick in the door and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like panting like a girl would in Friday the 13th. She's like, yo, the thing went through the wall. So, and I'm like, all right now. So, but now we're at the layer. You close your eye and you go, let me take a look. And boom, you catch it. And you're like, oh, you are still in the room. Because I'll clear the space here in the living room, and I rarely go in the bedroom because the cats will go in there sometimes. I don't want to sage them out too hard. So I kind of light sage them. So things will run in there. And then they run into Paula. They don't want nothing to do when that happens. Paula's like the au naturel. It's like the girl who just wants to plant and like live life and love, and then is upgrading the whole time right alongside you, going, I don't need to see it. I am it. I feel it.
That sounds like
yeah. They're like etherical translators. They're the greatest.
Yeah.
You know, because they're actually doing exactly what you're doing. But to me and you and I, we're meeting. We're the other side of the coin. We're like, no, we seek the fantastical. You know, and some would say, well, that's your own mind, Frank and Jim. And I'm like, really? Then how come we both meet Hanuman?
Yeah.
Explain that shit.
It's funny because I had this conversation yesterday with Melissa. She's like, I was going through some things, and she's like, well, maybe you're creating that, or you're bringing that on yourself. It's like, no, I have tests. I need to pass, because the journeys will keep repeating itself until you pass that test.
Yes.
And you see things that you may not be ready or willing to see, but that's besides the point. That's part of your test. How are you going to react to that? Are you going to fold and, cry and no, or are you going to stand there and do what you got to do? It's not the easiest thing to do, but guess what? You're the all, you're the almighty, you're fearless. So you either stand your ground and remember who you truly are, or you can fold and cry about it and talk about how, you're not doing this anymore because you saw demons or negative, whatever you want to call them. They were taunting you, whatever, And she's like, well, we had this very similar discussion. I was like, honey, listen, we're the yin and yang. You should be glad that you're not as clairvoyant as I am. That way you don't have to see these things. Because there's a reason that you don't, what reason that is, I don't know, but
I feel the men warriors are relearning how to actually be a man warrior and not like army warrior, like today that word has been defined wrong. Like back in the day, you'd have to go through like these trials and rituals and tests to make sure you're a man, and then you come home and you protect. Right. But it metaphorically, it's the sacred feminine rising. So why would she have to deal with a demon? She's already been dealing with all that. Like there are levels they will have to, but on the yin yang with your partner, it's like, I'll take care of that part so you can rise finally. You're the one that's down. I see it as like the return of Mother Earth. So
I'll give you an example, something that I was made aware of yesterday. When I went down to the underworld and clear these curses and destroy these altars and whatnot, I didn't just clear. I understand that I don't clear just for me, but my ancestors. But in this case, it cleared her and a few other people in my family. Because yesterday I was asking, I was like, well, look, this and that. It's like, no, when you did that, you were kind of like a proxy to them, and they got the ripple effect. Otherwise, they would have had to like individually, handle their stuff and remove all these things, which is not, it's not an easy thing. But I was happy about that because, some people not so much the know-how, they're not ready, to go there.
But they don't need the blockage that thing is causing. Not necessarily that they have to face the demon there. They shouldn't be touched to begin with. They should just be allowed to progress untouched. Correct. Yes.
Exactly. So I kind of said, and yesterday when I was like, look, this is what I understood from that. And I got, no, that's what it is. It's because at the moment that happened, there were repercussions from the other side. They weren't happy about it. And it was kind of that thing, okay, we're going to reach out to those near you. And they're like, no, you can't. They're untouchable. You did the work already. That's your family. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is great.
We had spoke about going back to original rituals and pulling the rug out from them. And one of the things I had to do was go to the World War II ritual where they were getting bomb information. And I watched the info come out, and I'm like, you guys serious? This is real. This is live. They're like, it's now. It was that date in the now, right? So they're like, now in that time, this is when they pulled the information. So I'm like, well, that's not good. They're like, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, I don't know. What can I do? What should I do? I'm ready to go right now. Like, they were like, yo, restrictors are off. Be creative. And I just went in and I started speaking over the voices, singing songs, doing weird stuff. I'm a weird guy, right? Disrupting it. But what it does is it pulls the rug out from then to now. So it starts disrupting anyone that's attached to any of that. So if your ancestors are part of that, you're part of that, anyone connected to that, is you start disrupting the field that's screwing with them as well as yourself.
Yes.
And to answer the chat room question, you're never, ever alone. That's why you're in the Fearless family, Julie.
I had an encounter with a client recently. Wait,
before you get in, we only have 1 minute to the break. Okay. So we'll talk about that as soon as we come back from the break.
Sure.
Right now, I'd like to thank everyone who's tuning in to Fearless. My name's Frank Castle, and I'm your Sorcerer Supreme right here every Saturday night. Tonight, guest host, Shaman Jimmy, straight from Florida. This is an amazing night. Thankful and grateful to have my brother with me. And as we level up, it was almost like the conversations at first, we didn't even know if we could have them with each other. Would we think each other as being weird? But nah, it ain't like that. When we come back, Jimmy's going to tell us more about what happened. And don't forget to go to IMWeAreFearless.com. Check it out. Don't forget to get a subscription, too. Everybody should get a subscription to TFR because TFR loves you. Love them back.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
Yo, welcome back to the show, everybody. My name's Frank Castle. Frankie Boy, Frankie Fearless. And I'm here with Jimmy, Shaman Jimmy, Ascended Master Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Man, I love being in your presence. I just want to say this before you tell us what happened. Right before the show started, I wrote you. I could have swore you were just here talking to me. All right.
I saw them.
Oh, right. So I want to tell you how I access you. And it's the funniest thing in the world because I literally thought I was talking to you. And then I looked down and started typing to you. And I'm like, wait, I didn't do it yet. Oh, that really happened. Okay. So it looks like lights, right? So like little tiny lights that you would hang on the wall, like white lights, right? Like a shower of white lights, a sprinkle of white lights in the background, right? Now there's a lot of lights, but these are a little bit brighter, right? And I can see them all around me. And I go, which one of y'all is Jimmy? And a screen pops up wherever you are. Anyone I call to hears me, by the way. And the screen, and it looks like as if you had a playing card, like a baseball card or like an action card. It has your face with the beard. And it talks. It's like, hey, I'm over here. And I'm like, wait, don't move. I'll come to you. Or you show up next to me. And I see you. And then it becomes like the one-on-one connection instead of me seeing everyone else. And then connecting to you and keeping it there, it goes into like its own private room almost. I know that sounds weird, but people ask of the process and what do you see? Now, I called to you and said, enough with this already, Jimmy. And then you just walked up and started pushing things back. And I was lighting sage. I was just sitting here like, and I had told you what happened in the shower. And I was just over it. And then you were right there. And I'm like, wow, that's really happening right now. But prior to ayahuasca ceremonies or ceremonies in general, I feel the energy buildup of the ancestors connecting from me to that person somehow, and then the ancestors to that person. So everyone starts gathering a night or two before. So if we're doing the show, you're coming early, and you're going to be checking it out. That's just what happens. So it's pretty interesting. That's my process on it. That's how I see it.
For me, on my end, I get your higher self talking to me. Like the day you messaged me about tonight, not maybe a minute or two later, I get the message from your higher self. It's like, look, we need you on the show, blah 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 blah. And I was like, I just got the message from Fred. He was like, no, I know, but I'm asking you. I'm like, all right, yes, I'm in there. No doubt about it. So,
and we didn't grow up together. We met. Do we know each other 2 years now?
We've never seen each other. Actually.
Yeah.
I mean, just through internet.
All right, so I have a funny joke to tell you. It's not really a joke, but it is pretty funny. You look like my first best friend ever. Like he looks exactly like you, except you're both this like big dudes. You look so much alike that I just as a joke, and he knows I don't talk to him anymore, but he was a friend of Paula's as well, and I showed her your picture and she thought it was him. And then I'm like, no, that's Jimmy. And then she goes, oh, you got your best friend back. And I go, it's uncanny. And I go, and our conversations, although different, and my earlier conversation with this guy were good. These are the elevated versions. And it was almost like I see it as funny preparation, how the universe prepared me to re-meet my family.
Oh, yeah.
So it's safe when we meet. We look like people we know already.
Yes.
Right? Where you almost, at some point wished you had back or something, you're just like, wow, man, that's really weird. I was really cool with that person. And then boom, which is wild because people say, and Nicholas has said this to me, there's a group of dudes in Texas that look like me, you, him, and Chris.
He told me, yeah, I remember him talking about that. He met him at a bar or something.
Yeah, they were the band. He goes, you have no idea what I just went through. He goes, it was us, but a band. And I'm like, no, man, I'm telling you, the mix is out there. Yeah, the fractals aren't just fractaling then, they're fractaling in the now as well.
When I was in Guatemala 2 years ago, I remember walking through downtown and I'm seeing people and they look like people that I know here. And I was talking to my brother. He's like, yeah, dude, that's part of the matrix. They have to it's easier to just replicate people than create new ones. And I was like, I mean, this guy looks like the guy from the gym. This guy looks like the guy that works at the grocery store. And it was just like mind-boggling,
It makes you wonder how that's working out. Like the DNA pre-programmed in suits that we wear through the zodiac, through the dates we share as birthdays. If any of that has more of a bigger meaning.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like there's only so many directions they can go before someone looks like someone else again.
Correct.
Or there's only a limited amount that they choose to use. Interesting right there too. Because maybe they need that to hold the specific DNA within that flesh suit.
Yeah, because these people, their skin was a little darker, but the features were identical, and I was like, okay, it was just weird.
Hey, the guys in the chat room said you sound a little muffled. Can you
all right
get up on your mic?
That better?
Yeah. Okay. So tell me what happened with you and your client.
All right. So, it's her first experience. We're going in. Initially, she mentioned, she felt blockages that she didn't understand for a long time. Okay. So things start kicking in. We're going through the motions. And we find out that, there's hexes, curses, all kinds of black magic done to her from a previous life. And it's time to clear it. Okay. I remember something that you taught me about giving options or negotiate, and I remember that. And as I'm clearing these beings, I'm like, look, all right, you guys have options. You can either leave, I smash you, or you can come to the light. I know you're tired of doing other people's dirty work. And you're tired of this shit. Same, plain and simple. You have a choice now. You don't get choices. You just get told what to do. You want to come to the light? And I wasn't even done when I got the yes. So I called the archangels and ascended masters to escort these things, so they can get the healing and things they deserve. After that, I get a message that after their debriefing or happens, they'll be able to share information with me. And they become part of my team. And I was like, oh, I've heard that, but I never really lived it or experienced it. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Then there was one that was stubborn. Didn't want to let go. So we got rid of it. We cleared it. Soon after, my higher self is like, dude, you got to be careful how you do this, because now all these things are going to start hitting you up. You're going to start attracting these things because they know you're doing this. And I'm like, well, it's too late. I can't go back on that. And all of a sudden he's like, no, the word spread real quick. And this person's minions was left without him. So at that moment, I had a clear understanding that certain timelines changed. Okay. So think of, you have a project of building something, and all of a sudden 25% of your workforce is gone. That project gets pulled back until you're able to replace those people. And right now, this person has no time for that. And today I'm talking to Hanuman, and I asked him, I said, look, I want to make sure that this is right, that it's not just me. He's like, no. He's like, think of this person on a chair and you kick one leg off. That's what you did. And I was like, we did. I said, no, you did that because you gave them that option. Normally it's just transmute them, send them to the central sun, and ciao. That was big. It was unexpected. And that created things to kind of like expedite because there's less resistance. And I'm like, I had to sit down and like really process, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, good, And then I had a talk with Narasimha, which is the lion head Hindu god. And he's like, yeah, because when was it? Last week, I felt they were doing a ritual. There were some children involved, and I get the alert, And Narasimha showed up, and it looked like he was an eraser. As they were doing it, it was being cleared. So I asked him about that. I said, "Is that?" He's like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm with you. I'm with you all the time. You're one of us now." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." And I asked him, he's like, "Yeah, you'll get an alert when these things are happening." Because I asked them, I said, "Look, I felt something happening in the Vatican," and they're like, "Yeah, it happens all the time. You just do." Because the where you're at, you get notified. Everybody does. But some people don't understand the notification. Some people think it's just a bad dream. Some people think it's just a thought. But no, you get notified, And he said, but don't worry about that. Yeah, that's gone.
It's funny that you're saying some of this when we talk and we compare notes. A while back, I had to transmute stuff around me, and right before it happened, I said, "Yo, you got a choice right now. Like, you can either rock with me, or you're done. You're just done. I'm done with you, right?" And then they were like, some of them were like, "Dude, you just gave me a choice." I'm like, "What? I don't care right now. Just make the choice." And they were all happy. There's a bunch of them that were like, "You said we can come with you," and I was like, "Let's go." And a group of us went to the light, and then a bunch of them came back with me, and they hang around me and they take care of some of the business when it needs to get done. It's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? Some people are like, you really lose your demon, you rise above it. And I'm like, you could transmute that thing. You just have to have the gnosis that you can still hit dark bottom when you need to. Right? You couldn't, because of free will at any time, go the other way. You don't need a demon to do that. You don't need anything. Like one of my friends said, I can't get rid of my demon. It helps me write my music. I go, dude, you're not writing any music, though. I go, you see how that works? And you're 45 years old. How much more music you're going to write now? You're a school teacher. Right? Like, let it go.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't need that, because the release of that brings in more more creativity, more everything. People have this obsession with, I could connect with this thing and it'll do stuff for me and whatever. You can do that stuff. You just have to learn how to do it. You're way bigger than all of these things, no matter how big they present themselves to you. Oh, we can do all this stuff. All right. A couple of years back, I might have believed one of you guys if you said, well, you don't know, bro. My Satan character is huge. I might have been like, whoa, that's pretty scary. Today, I would put I would put me or Jimmy just in the room with that thing and close the door, and then just put a timer on the door and be like, bro, he only needs 3, 2. It's already done. You open the door and there's flowers everywhere and rainbows and things, being respectful and transmuted. You know, it's just a different time now. The old ways are gone. The old fears are leaving.
Talking about fears and no ways. Yesterday, as I'm navigating through Mushroom World, I'm looking at things and I'm like, this doesn't look right. Something doesn't look right. But I can see the dark being holding up the scenes. Okay? So think of when you travel and the things that you see there, think of them as posters, right? And they're holding these sheets up or scenes. But now I can look at it and I can disintegrate it and see what's behind it. And if it's real, it stays. If it's not, it falls apart. So I'm coming around, and all of a sudden I can see this thing. It's almost like a squid-like being behind it, and it runs. And then they all huddle up to one corner, and I was like, "Look, I can see you. I know you know that." And they put up a wall, and there was like cats, and I'm like, "This looks familiar, but I know it's not real. No, thank you." And I kept staring at it, and it falls apart. Next thing I know, there's like 6 beings just staring at me with a face like, "Oh shit, we got caught." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm trying to. At the time, I'm asking, "Okay, so what's my lesson?" And they're like, "No, you're seeing beyond the illusion, even there, because it's also a construct. You know that you need to be aware when you're there if you are in the place where you should be." Because you can easily get misguided and think, "Oh, I'm having like this enlightenment experience," when they're really behind the scenes holding the puppet. If that makes sense. You know?
Yes. Change your mic position, because you're getting like hyper clear and then hyper muffled. So you're doing something in between there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's my connection here, but so yeah. Then as I'm navigating, I'm like, okay, so I come out and I'm like, okay, so what's the deal here? And they're like, "Do you get it?" I said, "Oh, of course I get it. I've done it in dream time. I had these 3 Latin girls meet me at an ET nightclub, trying to holler at me, and I can see through them that they just have the suit, and I just start staring at them, and I disintegrate the suit, and I see the 2 weird looking ETs just run away. I'm like, "Hey, come back here," you know. And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. I understand that." He's like, "Look, you guys are more powerful than you've been led to believe. You can destroy the illusion, you know, but if you keep buying into it, you know, with fear and, you know, this, that, whatever, you're just feeding them, you know, giving them the energy to hold that illusion up. So your job here is kind of like teach others, you know."
It's almost like consciousness versus consciousness, right? Like willpower.
Yes.
Right? If you choose to believe something, it's going to kind of be the way you choose to believe it. But if you choose to see, I remember saying that, like I was given the option, like, are you ready to see it? Because I was talking to Chris before my first everything. And I'm like, bro, I'm with you. He was telling me all these things about beings and everything. I was like, listen, I need to heal. My neck's broke. My back's broke. And he was like, no. And I was like, bro, I'm ready. I have nothing left. I'm done. And then it was the first thing this being grabbed me. It was like, are you ready? You ready? And I was like, what's happening? And then boom, the agreement was made and you're in. But I remember that it was like those who believe in the magic, like really that want to see it, and they truly believe that it exists, begin to see it.
Yeah. No, it's the same way with the practices, your daily practices. At first, people tell you about it. You kind of do it because you know that's the right thing to do. But then you start building that energy with your affirmations, and then you realize that these affirmations are manifesting those things. And then you're like, okay, hold on. There's some power behind this. You build the confidence and you put more intention or effort into it, and things start happening like regularly, like all the time. You know, like Melissa and I, we sit down and talk. Hey, you talk about the day. I was like, oh, I saw this happened. I close my eyes. I saw, I get these revelations, and I'm like, okay. Whereas before it was like every now and then, or, days after, a ceremony. Now it's like all day, every day.
How do you handle that?
Oh, man.
Do you love it, or is it annoying to you?
No, on the contrary, it keeps me on my toes. It's kind of, that's my news for me. That's my CNN.
No, that's where I get my stuff too.
That's my real shit. Like I see the days before, I see the waves of energies coming in, certain colors, things, ships, you name it. Whatever's going on at that time, I get the heads up. I kind of prepare myself.
Absolutely. I prefer it. Some go, it's a curse instead of a blessing. And then sometimes it's a blessing instead of a curse. And I go, you do realize you're getting the 411 on everything. Yeah. All the time. Like the truth. You can see through the nonsense. It's so much easier. All right. So I got to tell people, because there's only 7 minutes left, and it's going to go back to not being under any plant medicines and yet working in full DMT fashion. Okay. The other day, yesterday, the day before, I've been injured. I've been down again because of my back injury. I decided during one of our meditations, Jimmy, to walk in the source. Mm-hmm. I was like, yo, I need help. Right. So I go up in the source, and I was telling you this about, I go in the source greets me. And once again, I'm standing there naked, kind of like, but I was off to the side, and I saw a space Jesus, and it looked like he was with a crew of people, and like all different beings. There was like a child there with an ET child, like not a gray. It was like blue grayish, really cool looking. If that ran up to you, you wouldn't be scared. You'd be like, this is a beautiful child. That's how I saw it, at least. Once again, Space Jesus rocking the white outfit with the gold rim. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, it looks more, and don't think of the past, like guys wearing sandals and robes. Think more of like Star Trek when you meet the beings walk in with the different color robes on and stuff. That's what he looks like he's wearing. They were all wearing different versions of it. Like as if like there was a council meeting and they showed up in like all white robes or all this kind of, and I'm like, oh, because I asked him, I said, you're still rocking that thing, right? But it's almost like a space uniform. I'm serious, man.
No, I agree with you, because I had something similar, and I told you about that, and that's one of the nights that I saw you, and I'm on the ship, and he was there, but he was also with like some of the Egyptian deities, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, oh, they're getting ready. They got some things they need to do. I was like, when is it going to happen? I'm trying to, like soon. You'll know. And I knew it was him, but I never got to see his face. I just saw him, from the backside. Like I said, it was the white outfit. I was like, oh, that's Space Jesus.
Yeah. Listen, so I'm looking right at him, and I go, is this happening right now? And he looks like he was facing forward, not at me. He like turns to his left and he smiles and he goes, "Yep, it's me." And then I went, "Space Jesus?" He goes, "Yep, still don't like that." Right. And I go, "You're going to be it because I still can't believe this is happening." He goes, "Oh, this is happening." And he turned his palms up and sprayed me with a rainbow energy from his palms. And I felt like I was getting hit with the sprinkler. And I made a joke the other day. I posted something from a movie UHF where they were making little kids, if you win a prize, you get to drink from the fire hose. And then the guy turns a fire hose on a little kid and the kid goes 20 feet in the air, right? And goes flying into the back of the crowd. And he's like, "Yeah, the fire hose." I go, "It was like that, but gentle, kind of." And then I said, "Whoa." And then he goes, you like that?" I go, "I can't believe this is happening." He goes, "Yes, you do." And then he hit me with it again. And I go, "Oh, this is fantastic." So I walk over to him. And just during the meditation, I'm live with 30 people in the group. I walk up to him. He takes me Spartacus handshake style. We grab each other's hand, like arms. And I'm like, "Yeah, Space Jesus," right? And I'm looking at him. I'm like, "You look like you're from California. Like, I would hang out and smoke pot with you." And he was like, I would do the same thing with you. So I go, "That would be funny if I was like an apostle. Right? Wouldn't that be funny?" And he looked at me. He goes, "Yeah, that'd be kind of funny." I go, "Well, was I?" He goes, "No, you stabbed me.
Oh, man.
You were the guy that stabbed me right as I went up on the cross." And I went, "What did you just say?" And it completely changed the mood. And he held me. He held on. He was like, "You look at this." And I saw him all scrawny, and he was holding like this long wooden. Look, guys, I didn't believe in any of this. None of it. I thought it was just, I grew up Catholic school, but I didn't believe in any of it. And I got 2 minutes to tell you, I saw him scrawny, and I was wearing this helmet that looked like the head of a penis, but black. And it was weird. I was very skinny. I was wearing all black. And I run out of the crowd. I just jump out and stick him right in the stomach. And he's just like, "Yo." He looks me right in the eye. And I go, "Yeah." And I watched this 4,000 times. I had no choice. And I kept screaming, "That's not me." Then I attacked the guy. I took him down right as he was doing it. I'm like, "What, are you crazy?" And I go, "Oh, man, you're me. And you're like a distorted, nasty version, too. What's wrong with you?" And the dude was just... he was incoherently ridiculous. Like, "Rah!" And I was like, "Yo, there's no getting through to him." And they were like, "Just let it go." And I'm like, I threw up, purged, something, my jaw felt like it dislocated, and then something came out like, "Rah!" And I went to the bathroom like I had Montezuma's Revenge, crying. Yeah. Paul was like, "What's going on in here?" And then I'm like, "I don't know what's happening." While everything's going on air, the music's playing, I go through the whole thing, and then I say, "Okay, enough. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me?" He goes, I forgive you." He goes, "Can you forgive you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to tell you that. I was just going to forgive myself, so I hope you could forgive me." And he's like, "Done." Everything stopped.
Okay.
The purging stopped from every direction, and I got back on air and came out crying. And I talked to everyone in the room that was listening about my experience, but did not tell them that Jesus told me I stabbed him. That was to be released tonight. I didn't. They go, "Look on the bright side. You didn't kill him." Archangel Michael told me we all have roles, and everyone's playing the role. And that time you played that guy. Let it go. Release the layers. Release the layers. Thank you, Shaman Jimmy, for coming on. I love you guys. Hey, check me on the Red Cup Review with my brother Rob Banks right after the show tonight. It's about comic books and movies, so join us there, and let's talk some fun stuff. All right, love you.